And if you look at the flows coming into those markets, you can see why we've gone up to $100,000, and I think why we're going to go higher. What could it get to? This is a simple market for Bitcoin. If you look at the size of the gold market and you assume Bitcoin will penetrate half of that market, in other words, young people favor Bitcoin over gold. As they get older, they will want Bitcoin. Anyway, you get to very high price targets. I will say that these price targets, when I got into crypto, people were like, you must be joking, Matt. Now we have Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, saying it could be $700,000. But I actually think it could be more than that.
In their first year, Bitcoin ETF have been the most successful ETF launch in history, dwarfing the inflows seen with gold ETF in their early years. Last year alone, Bitcoin ETF absorbed 500,000 BTC, while Bitcoin's network only produces 165,000 BTC annually. This supply-demand imbalance is fueling significant price appreciation. Beyond ETF, institutions and nation-states are also entering the Bitcoin market. Major corporations are adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets, and governments are beginning to recognize its strategic importance. Hougan reveals that Abu Dhabi recently acquired $500 million worth of Bitcoin, and he has spoken to multiple nation-states currently exploring Bitcoin acquisitions.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I think Bitcoin will displace or be as large as gold. And I know that sounds crazy to you, but let's look at the characteristics. Bitcoin and gold share lots of characteristics. Limited supply, they're fungible, they're decentralized, they're borderless. The only thing gold has going over Bitcoin, which is a huge thing, don't get me wrong, is 5,000 plus years of history, right? Everyone trusts gold. But Bitcoin can do things that gold can't. You can move it internationally, you can store it effectively for free. My Bitcoin ETF has about $4 billion in assets. If I wanted to move it, I can push a button and it moves somewhere. If I had it in gold, I'd have to charter an airliner and fly it somewhere. It's much more difficult. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can something this volatile be a store of value? How can something this volatile compete with gold? Look at those drawdowns, 35, 65, 44, 31. It's a mess. Look at your hair, Matt. It's turning gray. Or it is gray, if you want to be mean. But this is actually not a chart of Bitcoin. That's a chart of gold since 1969 to 2024. And the thing about gold is people talk about its 5,000-year history. It actually really has like a 40-year history because we were on the gold standard until the early 70s. And if you look at this chart, there were two big up periods, right? There was when we went off the gold standard and it rallied from $35 to like $1,000. And then there was that period starting in 2004 when it went from 200 to today, whatever, 25, 30, 3,000. What were those two periods? The first period was when the world figured out what gold was. We were off the gold standard. Is this a barbarous relic or does it matter to society? We decided it mattered to society and we went from $35 to $1,000. The second one, starting in 2004, that big ramp up that's still continuing, is when we got the gold ETF that launched in 2004, made it easy to buy. One of the reasons I'm so optimistic about Bitcoin is we have both of those things going on at once. So right now, people are figuring out, does Bitcoin matter in the world? And at the same time, the ETF has made it extraordinarily easy to buy. And if you look at the flows coming into those markets, you can see why we've gone up to $100,000, and I think why we're going to go higher. What could it get to? This is a simple market for Bitcoin. If you look at the size of the gold market and you assume Bitcoin will penetrate half of that market, in other words, young people favor Bitcoin over gold. As they get older, they will want Bitcoin. Anyway, you get to very high price targets. I will say that these price targets, when I got into crypto, people were like, you must be joking, Matt. Now we have Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, saying it could be $700,000. But I actually think it could be more than that. I'll add that Bitcoin does more than just gold. Right? It's not only a way to store wealth, it can be used as a functional currency. I'll give you a few sort of shock statistics. This chart looks at the inflows into gold ETFs starting in year one versus the inflow into Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin ETFs are the most successful ETF launch of all time. Last year, Bitcoin ETFs bought about 500,000 Bitcoin. The network only produces 165,000 a year, so that's a pretty good supply-demand imbalance. We also have corporations buying Bitcoin, putting it on their balance sheet. And then my favorite is we have nation states buying Bitcoin. Just this week, we learned that Abu Dhabi bought $500 million of Bitcoin over the last 3 months. I've talked to 2 nation states that are thinking about how to acquire Bitcoin. To get to the end of this, I think Bitcoin has 2 near-term roles in the world. I think it's a form of digital gold for individuals to save their wealth. And I think relatively soon, sooner than many people think, it will be used as a tool to transact international commerce between countries that don't like each other. That's the closest we're going to get to the gold use. I think we're moving into a world where not everyone wants to transact in dollars, and not everyone wants to transact in yuan, and not everyone wants to transact in rupees. And the world will want a non-political currency for international transactions. If you think we're moving into a multipolar world, that seems like a natural place. Literally the only thing that works is Bitcoin, because you can't use gold for transactions. It's too slow, but you can use Bitcoin. And so I imagine a world in a few years where people will save in Bitcoin and Bitcoin will be used for international transactions. And if I'm right, I think it will be a $10+ trillion asset.
A common misconception in the crypto space is that all digital assets serve the same purpose. Hougan criticizes the tendency to compare Bitcoin to other cryptocurrencies, arguing that Bitcoin's primary function is to be a secure store of value, whereas other blockchain-based assets like Ethereum serve different purposes. Bitcoin's blockchain is simple and secure. It allows users to send, receive, and destroy Bitcoin, but little else. Ethereum, on the other hand, is fully programmable, allowing developers to build financial applications, smart contracts, and decentralized exchanges. The key trade-off is that Bitcoin's limited functionality enhances its security, while Ethereum's flexibility introduces potential vulnerabilities.
The other thing that I really hate in crypto, I hate people who think it's a way to buy coffee, is all crypto assets are the same. They're like 20,000 crypto assets or something stupid like that. And the reason people get them confused is because they think those logos on the right, which are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Uniswap, those are 4 blockchains, are analogous to the logos on the left, which are currencies. And they're like, Bitcoin is the internet currency. The internet is a global thing. Why do we need more than one? If Bitcoin is to the dollar as Ethereum, which is the second largest asset, is to the euro, they should just compete. It should only be Bitcoin. I actually think Bitcoin is the only form of money. But this is the wrong analogy. The right analogy is the one in the middle, which is every crypto asset is 2 things. It's an asset and a blockchain. The Bitcoin asset, the Bitcoin blockchain. The Ethereum asset, the Ethereum blockchain. Blockchains are just pieces of software, and we all know pieces of software can be good at different things, right? Salesforce and Microsoft are both software providers, but they do very different things. So when you hear about all these different assets, you have to ask yourself, how is the underlying software different? And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to go through 2. Bitcoin was the first blockchain. As a piece of software, it's really simple. All you can do with Bitcoin is send it, receive it, destroy it. You can do some very simple if-then statements. It's a limited programming surface. Ethereum was developed after Bitcoin. It looked at Bitcoin and said, it's so cool. You can move money internationally 24/7, 365. It's so cool that you can hold a digital asset. What if we could program this to act like a bank? What if we could program it to act like the stock exchange? What if we could program it to act like a prime broker? So the Ethereum blockchain can be programmed to do everything. It's called Turing complete. You can make it do everything. You can make it sing and dance. Now you all are probably thinking, why is Bitcoin more valuable than Ethereum if Ethereum can do everything and Bitcoin can only do a few things? And the answer is that in software design, if you have a limited programming capability, it has one big advantage, which is it's really secure. The Bitcoin blockchain software rarely upgrades. When you upgrade, you introduce risk. The Ethereum software upgrades all the time because it's trying to sing and dance and solve all these problems. So when people talk about Bitcoin as digital gold, the reason is not that the logo is orange. The reason is that as a piece of software, it's designed perfectly to secure wealth. People talk about Ethereum as this new platform for finance, and that is true. We'll go through a few examples shortly. But it's never going to be as good at storing wealth as Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's never been as good as being a platform to reinvent banks as Ethereum. And as you go through asset 2, 3, 4, 5, down to 1,000, you get all these variations on the theme. It's the first time in human history we've been able to have one database that's available everywhere in the world, that everyone can see into, that updates in real time, but is not controlled by any central party. So PayPal is one database that only PayPal can see into, and PayPal controls everything in there. The Bitcoin blockchain and subsequent blockchains are one database available everywhere in the world, always accurate, updates in real time, but no single party controls. Why does this matter? Well, it lets you do 3 things we've never been able to do before. The first is we can move money instantly around the world. I can literally move $1 billion over, let's say, the Ethereum network and have it settle in a matter of seconds, 24/7, 365. I love when people say crypto can't do anything. If I wired money internationally on a Friday, if I sent $10,000 to London, it would get there on Tuesday. And that's from the largest banks in the world. People with 200,000 employees, offices in the US and London. It takes 4 days for money to move internationally. On the Ethereum network, I could move that in 10 seconds for a fee of about a penny, and it would settle within that time period. That's an incredible advance. And it's not just money that's slow. Stocks settle in 1 day. There was an incredible Bloomberg headline earlier this year that said stocks settle for the fastest period in 100 years. Because 100 years ago, stocks settled in 1 day, and then we went to 2 days, and we finally caught up with 1920 this year. Think about something else in your life that is finally moving as fast as it did in 1920. Money is the only thing. It's the slowest moving things in the world. Crypto fixes that. It lets it move at the speed of light.
This fundamental distinction is why Bitcoin is seen as digital gold, whereas Ethereum is considered the foundation for decentralized finance, DeFi. Hougan emphasizes that understanding the unique role each blockchain plays is crucial to assessing their long-term viability. At its core, Bitcoin and blockchain technology represent a paradigm shift in how financial transactions are conducted. Traditional financial systems operate on centralized databases controlled by banks and governments. In contrast, Bitcoin's blockchain is a global, decentralized ledger that updates in real time and is accessible to anyone. Please like and subscribe.